comes the age-old question. How do you get good at maths? Now, first of all, I don't know if I'm qualified to give this because I'm not a licensed math teacher. I don't have a degree, but what I do have is I was in advanced maths and I also got my grades from my lowest being a 58 to last year getting a 96 on my mocks and then an A star on my maths. That being said, I'm definitely not the smartest person at maths. I'm definitely friends with people that got top in the world, but I think you should listen to advice from many people so you can have an idea of what's the best for you. Step 1, I think I'm going to break this into maybe 3 components. First component is revision 1 week before. The second component is revision 1 day before. And then the third component is to do when you're actually taking the test. Okay, so let's begin. First of all, I'm not going to sugarcoat this and say that you don't need to do any practice problems, because the truth is you do need to do practice problems. All of the notes and note taking, that's passive stuff. You're not using that knowledge. Basically, okay, instead of telling you my reasoning, I'm just going to tell you what to do instead of, explaining the whys. Actually, no, I will explain the whys, but let me just tell you what to do. You know those math classes you have every day? Instead of talking to your friends, you should listen. Listen to what your teacher's saying, and when they say do the exercises instead of just talking to your friends. Because a major part of why my grades were really low is because in that specific period of time, I was in a class with a lot of friends. So I would always talk to them and do a lot less work. That being said, I used to have pretty good math grades up until year 8. And from year 8 to year 9, that's when I transitioned into the advanced math class. And that paired with the fact that I was doing less work and I never really knew how to study math because I was always just math had always been easy for me. So I never studied for it up until I got into advanced math. And that's when I was oh, I need to study math. But I never knew how to study math. So I was just left confused, and that's why my grades were at an all-time low, 58%. If I got 58%, that grade, I was so shocked, because usually when I say I do bad on my math test, that means I'll get an 80, but no, I got a 58. Anyways, that's part of the reason why I was bad at it, because I never knew how to study it. And let me tell you how to study it. Step 1. When your teacher is teaching you, you need to actually absorb the information. You need to drill into your brain a squared plus b squared equals c squared, everything. And you need to take down notes. Oh, why is this so uneven? Okay, you need to take down notes, guys. But I'm not saying Pythagoras invented this theorem in a long time. No, I'm talking about, okay, Pythagoras has the opposite, the hypotenuse and adjacent. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. You don't need to write down the backstory stuff. Just write down the key important formulas. Second of all, you go home, right? Instead of kicking back, relaxing, and doom scrolling for the next hour, you know what you should do? The math questions. This textbook isn't just for show, guys. You actually have to do it. That's how you get good at maths. That's how most people get good at maths. Okay, but you might be wondering, each exercise has 50 different questions in that exercise. And I don't expect you to do them all, because that's a waste of time. What you do is you do the first question. Okay, look at this, guys. A, B, C, D, all the way to F. You do all of them, that's a waste of time. Especially if you already know what it is. So here's what you do. You do the first question, you do the last question. If you get any of these two wrong, you do another question. And if you get that one wrong, you do another question. And you make sure you don't have to do the questions in this, you don't have to do the A, B, C, D, E's, but you definitely have to do question 1, question 2, and question 3. That's basically it. That's how you get good at math. You just continuously do questions. Now, after you finish those basic questions, let me show you the gold mine, the best past paper review questions. This is single-handedly doing the textbook and doing the past paper review questions single-handedly brought my grades from a 58 to a 96. It's honestly, I feel like most people know how to get good at maths. They just don't have the mindset to do it. And I'll tell you how to get the mindset to do it. This is a bit extra, but you see this post-it note, say do maths, don't be lazy, and stick it on your wall. That's why every morning when you wake up, you have a reminder that you need to lock in for maths. Because here's the thing. I don't know if this video was really helpful, but I think I'm just saying the actual truth is the only way to get better at maths is to do past paper questions. And I think that's a very Asian method of studying maths. It's just to grind 20 years of past papers, and that's kind of what most people do. I have a friend who got top in the world for maths last year, and they basically told me that they just do past paper questions, and I think that's just how you improve. Note-taking, I don't think you should take notes for math. Okay, let me just take a quick disclaimer because that's a very broad statement. What I mean is that don't put too much effort onto note-taking when you could be doing just a little bit of note-taking and then more practice problems. Although if you work well with note-taking, please don't change your entire plan just because I said something. Do what you think is best for you because everyone has different ways to study. Also, this isn't saying that I don't take notes. I do take notes, but my notes are a lot more concise and short. That's all I had to say. Personally, I think for me, that's more like a waste of time. I just write down the formulas that I need because once you have the formulas, it's very easy to apply it to other questions. And here's the thing. You only take notes, then you only know a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And then you look at the test paper in the test and it's what the hell is this? Because I didn't learn it. I only learned a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And so I think you need to broaden your horizons to other questions that are harder, that involve stringing a bunch of different knowledge together. That's how you solve the question. It's not as simple as I'm gonna tell you this hack and then your grades will never drop below a 90. Because it's not that simple. I think improving something definitely takes hard work. In a perfect world, I would come home and I would do an hour of math questions, but that didn't happen because I was lazy. What I did do, however, is maybe I'll start studying a week before the test. In the first day, I would probably familiarize myself with all of the topics, what I need to do, what I need to know, all of the formulas. Well, I never really had to memorize the formulas because we have a formula sheet, but basically, I just familiarize myself with the topics. Maybe take some notes, but not really. I think my math notes are really basic. They pretty much just consist of the most important topics. See, this is my only notes on probability. I just have all of this written down here. What else? You see, radians, this is the only notes I have. The rest is just exercises. And I don't recommend that you use one of these books for your exercises. I recommend you get a very nice refill pad and just do all your working, because I don't need my math notes to be neat. I just need to do the questions. I honestly don't know how else to improve maths if not just do questions, and specifically past paper questions. Now that I'm thinking about it, the other way that people struggle with getting good math grades is the day before their math test, they pull an all-nighter. They're cramming all this information in their brain. They're anxiously doing past papers, grinding through the papers. But for me, that doesn't work, because if I did what I'm telling you to do, like I did all of the exercises, I did the past papers beforehand, I see no reason to continuously do past papers one day before the test. No, I think one day before the test, what you need to do is change your mindset about math. Because if you go into the math test feeling like you're going to fail, that's not going to end well, because you're just going to be panicked and your nerves are going to be high. And so you're going to get a worse grade than if you just went in with a calm mindset. So what I recommend you do one day before the test is, first of all, adjust your mindset, and then second of all, just revise all of the topics again. Like, look at all of the formulas, look at all of the logic behind everything. Maybe relook at your notes again. I don't know, but then don't do any more exercise questions, because I think if you find a question that you don't know, that's gonna freak yourself out, that's gonna psych yourself, and then it might not even come up in the test. So just relook at your notes, maybe do some passive learning, don't do any active learning, because that could change your mindset a lot more. And now let's move on to the last section. What do you do when you're in the test? I feel like everyone has a very specific, systematic way of taking a test. And for me, that's basically I don't go through the test paper. I know some teachers might be like, oh, everyone, when you get your paper, first go to the back, look at all the questions. No. Why I don't do that is because what if you see a question that you're like, what the hell is this? And you have no idea how to solve it. While you're solving the other questions at the beginning, you're just going to be like, oh no, I have that big monster of a question waiting for me. And I don't think that's a good mindset to have. I think mindset is very important when you're in a math test. I find that when I'm less stressed for a math test, maybe I'll get a better grade regardless, even if I studied equal amounts. And so you just do the question from page 1 to page whatever, and then if a question takes more than 1 minute, maybe more than 2 minutes, put a circle around it and skip it. Just come back to it after you're done. And the most important thing when you're taking a test, the most important, is that you check your answers. I don't know why people don't do it. They just look through it and they're like, oh yeah, that looks about right. No. You do not know how many times I made the mistake 2 + 3 = 6. I think it's because 2 × 3 = 6, but there is just something genuinely wrong. Doesn't matter how slow I take the question, I will always make some sort of arithmetic error, some logic error. And what I need you to do is go back and check that you made none of those errors. That's how you make mistakes. And I think my math teacher always told me that silly mistakes aren't, there's not a thing called silly mistakes. It just means you haven't practiced enough. That's basically it. Just practice and do the questions. This is a very unhelpful video, but I don't know what else to say that will make getting good at math easier than do a bunch of practice questions. I don't know. Let me check what other videos are saying. Maybe I will pull some advice from them. Honestly, I think the way I study math is definitely not what mainstream people would do. Because whenever I do past papers, they always tell you don't look at the answer key after you finish the question. But I always look at the answer key anyway. I really don't know what it... Oh, that reminds me. Everyone, you need a mistakes book, or at least some recollection of your mistakes. What you need to do, whenever you make a mistake, circle that question. rewrite that question and change the numbers, okay? Rewrite that question, change the numbers. The next day you do that question again. And if you get it wrong, something's wrong. You need to do that question again and continuously until you get it right. Just rewrite it, change the numbers, don't give yourself the answer. Continuously do that, because I'm pretty sure when I was learning math, that's what my mom would do for me when I was trying to get my grades up, and I think that really helped because it means that you definitely know how to do the questions. So basically, more stuff. I'm like looking at what other people are saying for maths, and I don't know if I agree with some of them, but they're like a lot more experienced than me. But I'll say it anyways. Don't try to solve a problem if you can't think of an approach before starting. I kind of disagree with that, because once you're starting the question, that's kind of when the ideas start popping up. If you're doing a geometry question, like you might not think of semicircle, all degrees are 90 degrees when you're starting the question. Then you maybe continuously do the question, and then it pops into your mind and you know how to solve it. Like, I cannot tell you how many times that's happened to me. So if you're in a test and you don't know the approach of how to solve that problem, I don't care. Try do it. Write all of the formulas down. Like, try do anything, find all random angles. Specifically when you're doing like geometry questions or circular theorems questions, I don't even care. Just like, if you really stuck and you don't know how to do the question, find all of the angles, find any angles, and then somehow it will just miraculously pop up in your brain. I don't know why that works, but it really does, for me at least. And I think that's the issue, is people just kind of follow this mainstream idea and then they don't develop their own kind of way to do maths. And I'm not saying to copy exactly what I do, because to be honest, I understand things pretty quickly. If I don't understand it, I will go on a YouTube video and just find it. Or sometimes ChatGPT, guys. I desperate measures use ChatGPT. And honestly, this is pretty unhelpful, but it is everything I've learned condensed into like maybe a 5-minute video. I don't know. Keep familiar with the problem, like keep practicing until you automatically solve the problem before thinking of any approach as you do basic calculations. I agree with that one. I think doing practice problems is a major part of becoming good at math. If you want another video, if any of you are doing Cambridge, IGCSE, CIE, I think I have a lot more tips, because that math is a lot more specific rather than general. Because I feel like I'm not really explaining myself well, but here's the thing. I'm just gonna give you like a timetable, a routine. You just have to follow it. I'll put it like up here when I edit the video. Also, this might not be a helpful video because I think maths is just a hard truth. The hard truth is just a practice. But I think I have more tips for English and science, because I was also in advanced science. So if any of you want a video on that, I can help. I also got an A star in English language because I think everyone was just required to do that early. So if anyone wants tips on how to be good at IG English, I can also help, because my grades also went from a 60 to, in the end, a 90. Yeah.